Okay. Hello, everybody. My name's McLean Mert. Sometimes people call me Stubbs since I lost both my legs and they call them Stubbs. But, I'm just making a little video on, types of doctors. And so here in where I live in Indiana, when I first started knowing I had something wrong with my leg, didn't know what it was at the time, which it turns out it was a blood clot, and they found that when I was like 19 and a half. I turned 20 in the hospital, but I had great doctors. The vascular surgeon that I had, Dr. Marsden, great guy, kinda young, but he's one of the best. I would recommend him to work on any one of my family members. If a stranger came up to me, I would recommend him. He, great guy, good bedside manner. He, not one of those doctors like I had when I was out in Texas. I was like, man, the first time I met him, I was like, man, I do not like this guy. He spends 5 minutes with me. How can he get to know me in 5 minutes when the whole 5 minutes is us? Oh, excuse me, sorry about that. But how can he tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about when I've been dealing with this for a while because I moved to Texas with my mom? That's another thing why I moved there. But he would only come in, he'd be like, oh, all your scans are fine. Like, how do they know you have this problem? I'm like, well, that's the thing. My scans could show that I'm completely normal, but then 2 days or the next day, I could have a clot. Fully occluded, which means my arteries fully shut off. No blood supply getting down to whatever's below it. And he's over here, he's like, well, that's not how the body works, son. He's like, it would have to be a buildup of dead blood cells or fat and getting clogged up over time, and then it eventually closes off, and it's a process that takes a while. And I'm like, that's not in my case. That's what's in normal cases with people that tend to be overweight or don't have uh, the best diet. And I'm like, this is how it happens with me. And we kind of argued, and he just leaves. Like, doesn't want to spend time to really get to like know what my interests are, like what am I into. And I'm like, I went to my mom and stepdad, and I was like, I don't like this guy. And then I'm getting calls from like my whole family, like, oh, this guy's the best doctor all around. He worked on George Bush's wife, like all this, like he's the best. You need to be going to. And I'm like, how is he the best? He doesn't want to spend time to get to know me. And they're like, well, that's doctors. I'm like, well, my doctors in Indiana got to know me. Like they would spend time. He would want to know what I'm into. Like my blood doctor, Dr. Hendricks. I had like I dealt with multiple people in that clinic, so I was going there every week. I talked to everybody in there. They all knew me. They all liked me. I just talked to everyone, and that builds a relationship, so they kind of know what you're into and how they want to treat you so you can get back to what you were doing before this all happened. Well, this happened, it started when I was 19, but it took a year for them to finally figure out that I had a blood clot, gangrene, like it was terrible. I have that in my first video, but it's absolute dog poo poo. Like it doesn't sync up. Like I can understand why people don't want to watch it. If you can bear through it, great. It kind of gives you a little bit what went on. But so I was like, I'm switching doctors. Like I can't deal with this guy. He thinks he's on the top of the world. I went to him. I had a clot actually in my arm, and I was seeing a blood doctor, and he's like, "Yeah, there's no blood pulse. Like you don't have a blood pulse in your hand." Went to him. They saw. He's like, "Oh, it's not that bad. You're fine." And my hand's freezing cold, and it hurts like a. I don't have a good analogy for it, but it hurts like a son of a gun. Pew pew, not gun. But uh, try not to make you know who bad mad. Big old Susan up at the top. But so I end up having a blood clot in my uh, right leg where I've had them all. First time meeting this doctor, his name is Dr. Fote. Don't ask me how to spell it because it's like Foytaey. I'm not, I don't know how to spell. I'm terrible at spelling. But great doctor. Like, he came in, had his plan, and didn't just walk off. Hung around a little bit. Like, came on in, grabbed a chair, pulled it up. He's like, "Oh, what are you watching?" And at that time, I was into that '70s show. And then me and him got to talking about Jennifer Aniston and how good looking she is and who's our favorite character. And I was like, well, of course, Jennifer Aniston. But then I also like Ashton Kutcher just because of the role he plays as the dumb one. And I love that guy, appreciate him, all he does for his brother that has, I'm not sure what thing it is, but I know it's like, I want to say like muscular dystrophy, but I know it's not. I don't think it's that. And he makes great awareness for it, like 100 to that guy. And he hung out in my room. He got to know me. He's like, "Oh, what are you into? Like, what do you like?" And I'm like, "Oh, I love playing basketball. I like going out to the shooting range." Like he actually got to spend some one-on-one time. Like that's what I look in for a doctor. Not just because of their credentials and how great they are. Like, no, like, I mean, he had good credentials, but he also had human people skills that he could talk to someone. And that's just great. Like, you don't find many doctors with that. But when I went into surgery with him, my first surgery, he was just putting in a stent. You know, they do it all the time. It's basically like a plumber. He goes in and with a wire, they went in. I'm not sure which way they went in on me. I think he went in through my left groin and then just went around over and went into my right femoral artery and just pretty much do what they do when they unclog your vein, just roto-root it and clear it out. Well, as he was doing that, I was clotting in my aorta, and he was like, when that happened, the pucker effect was real. And, you know, I just kind of came out of surgery, so it really wasn't all there. And then I finally got what he meant, like the the downstairs puckered up, tightened up. Nothing was getting in, catch my drift. And they had to call in a cardiologist. So as he was working on my leg, they had a cardiologist just fishing out the clots. Like they couldn't believe what was going on. So of course, after the surgery, he comes in. He's like, I am never doing any operation on you again. And I'm like, you do know that I'm most likely 100% going to be back in here. And he's like, unfortunately, I know, I'll give this stint maximum 3 months. It wasn't even 3 months, and I'm back in there just screaming my head off in pain because, when you don't have blood down to a limb and it's dying, it's excruciating. And he they called him in. They're like, "Well, Dr. Fote has something to say," and I'm like, "Oh, okay. Let's get let's get ready for this. Let's get the hat on. I can't. This hat. This hat's not gonna do it. Okay, we'll do the gangster side. Okay, so he was like, they told me he's coming in. That man, he wakes up before the farmers wake up. He woke up before Jesus woke up. Like this guy was on it. And when they told me he was coming in, I'm like, I already know what he's gonna say. They're like, how do you know? He's already told me he's not operating on me ever again. So of course he comes in. He's like, you know what I said. Like I'm not going back into your artery. I'm like, I know. I told him. Oh yeah, that I'm not an addict or anything. This is just plaque psoriasis from where it's healed. But so I was like, man, we have to do something about this. Like, can you just amputate my leg up above the knee? He's like, you'll do that? I'm like, it's gonna have to happen. So it's like, sure, why not? I'll do it. And I was like, perfect. Yes. The downfall. When they did that surgery, I woke up just screaming every profanity word out there. Like I was tearing into people. Like I had to write, I think it was like 78 apology cards because of just how rude I was because of the pain. And like it took 7 hours of me screaming, telling, like I took up the IV pole and I was about to slam it into the wall. They couldn't believe how much strength I had either. But I was about to slam it through the wall, and they gave they gave me everything that they could possibly think of that you could take through IV and mouth for pain medicine. And don't get me started on that. That stuff is just terrible for you. But when you need it, you need it. Don't not going there. So they finally get me to the ICU. They get me on ketamine and a lidocaine drip, and I'm fucking seeing flames and all this other stuff. Like I'm trying to grab my cup and swiping away the flames. And it was great. They got me out of pain. Great doctor. Her only one that would listen to me. And that's what I look in for a doctor. And I hope you guys do too. Like, look in for a doctor that's there for you, wants to get to know you. Sorry for the little rant in the long video, but I just felt like I kind of needed to get out my little experiences with meeting doctors instead of doing videos 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because they're all gonna be the exact same thing. Of, oh, I'm in the hospital because I have a a clot, this is what they did. It's going to be the same video. There's going to be 8 of the same video because I had 8 bypass surgeries. So I know you guys don't want to see those. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful day or evening wherever you're at. I appreciate it. Appreciate a like, follow, sub, uh, brain fart, can't think of it, comment. I'll be back trying to make more little videos kind of like this and a little bit about how the heart works and the arteries and all that. Thank you guys. Stay classy. I love you. Stay in good health. Peace out.